Hi, this is Ed. I'm in Palm Desert, California today, and our special guest is coming on in just a couple of minutes. An attorney, an immigration lawyer. In fact, he's been awarded the title of super lawyer more than once, and he's a professor of law in LA. And it's John Q. Khosravi. Uh, Many years ago, his family relocated from Iran into LA, and uh, and now he's living the life, fabulous, and very successful immigration attorney, helping a lot of people. So stay tuned. We'll be right back with Attorney John Khosravi on Global TV Talk Show. So here we are, and our special guest today on Global TV Talk Show is immigration attorney, in fact, super lawyer, not named by me, but by peers, John Q. Khosravi. Welcome.
Thank you, everyone. Good to see you again.
Yeah, it's been a while. So I see you're really still involved and so active in the media and being are you still a professor also?
I changed it up. I stopped teaching at law schools, and my focus now on teaching is to other lawyers. A lot of lawyers are now becoming immigration lawyers, so helping them learn the business and the law and everything. I found because they're actually going to use the stuff. Because when I teach at law school, at the end of the day, they're interested in taking the bar exam and stuff. This is all kind of esoteric, philosophical stuff. But when someone's actually a lawyer going to practice stuff, I get a little more kick out of it teaching them. So I have
Yeah.
courses now that we teach immigration lawyers and continuing legal education, and create a whole company around training lawyers called the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about, right today, it is December 8th, years running to a close. Seems like it's spinning faster and faster, right? So is 23 going to be any different, better for the immigration business?
Well, we never know what tomorrow looks like with regard to immigration. The staffing situation and the political situation, every day is so different. Sometimes we're really surprised on how bad things get or how good they get when it's completely unexpected. Right now, everything has slowed down and it's getting slower and slower. But the immigration department is promising that they're going to speed up everything by the end of the fiscal year. And hopefully, we can just take them at the word that things are going to start moving faster by next October. The embassies were stalled because of COVID. A lot of them are opened up, but a lot of them are still just getting fully staffed and opened up. And there's a broader problem with the State Department where they lost a lot of employees during the Trump administration and during COVID. So, training a new officer to be a consular officer is something that could take 2 years. First, you got to do background checks and language learning and training. If they start today and hire 1,000 people, it's not going to come out till 2 years from now. Now, they did hire a bunch of people a year and a half ago. Those people are starting to go in place. So there are good signs that they planted the seeds for good stuff to happen. So, we're optimistic 2023. Things will speed up a little bit, but there's still massive delays. By delays, I mean, it could be a year or two before you get an interview. And so if you're married and you're applying for your spouse, it might be 2 or 3 years before your spouse comes here. It's very devastating for family planning and life planning because of delays. I would love it if the government would make a special exception where if a U.S. citizen married someone, we could get it done in 3 or 4 months and get him here. It makes sense, but right now there are extended periods of separation that's very traumatic.
So what takes it so long? Why is it so complicated? Is it political?
It's just staffing, and there's a little bit political. Like when Trump came, they changed up how strict they want to be and what they want to do, and how many background checks and how many superior supervisory officers review everything before it's finalized. So all this extra red tape created delays, and then add to that the embassies not being fully staffed and for 2 years not doing interviews. Essentially, a huge line is piled up of just people that need interviews that need to go through the system. It's wild. People can't believe it when I tell them how bad the delays are. It's unbelievable. And even if someone's not even pro-immigration, if you're married to a U.S. citizen and you want to bring your spouse here, 3 years to get a spouse here is kind of unimaginable. But that's what we're seeing in many countries. Now, not every. If you're from Germany or something like that, we could probably get it in a year and a half. But if you're from India right now, I would say 3 years or 2 or 3 years, but could be longer because we don't know. They're not even doing interviews yet. So I have couples that are still waiting for the interview, and every month that goes by is just another month that gets added to it.
So does this, so this also covers the H-1B situation, right?
Yeah, yeah, because they're trying to work special with H-1B to figure it out. And a majority of the H-1Bs do go to India, so they were not scheduling interviews, but they're trying to find ways to do interview waivers or giving priority to those kind of cases. So it's there and it's not there, and it's just luck if you get the interview. But that per se hasn't hit as hard. But a lot of it is just the just interviews in general. If you want to get a tourist visa in most parts of the world, the wait is 450 to 500 days to get a tourist visa in the United States. If you're in Mexico, you got to wait 2 years for tourist visa. Like it's crazy because that financially hits America. These people are tourists; they come and spend here. They're business people, presidents of corporations who need to negotiate deals. They can't even enter the United States. I did an interview on my own podcast with a gentleman who's a former diplomat that works with the NBA and a lot of sports leagues, and they have these cross-cultural league exchanges where a team from South America is going to come play an NBA team and stuff like that. They can't even get them visas. He has to do special, not say connections, but just routes to contact the Department of State, kind of put pressure and say, hey, listen, this is a friendly league. We have to have these exchanges. It doesn't make sense for our country not to be doing this. This is part of our cultural power. But when you see like even a basketball team can't even come here to play a game, you're like, oh, this is out of control. It's kind of wild.
Yeah, it's crazy. So what about the students? Like here in, where I live in San Diego, UCSD is huge. There's huge numbers of international kids. How do they get in and everything else is so backlogged?
Luckily, they did give priority for student visa. So we see them cutting head of the line and to come. So that's been a positive. Although student visas always have headaches depending on what country you're from, what they're going to mess around with. And during the Trump administration, they've made these rules that they've turned back and stuff like that. But student visas have been an exception that they've been working with them and scheduling relatively quickly to get the interview to come here.
Yeah. Okay. So why can't they just make an exception for, and in the same way as that is covered for H-1Bs, tech?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. I mean, they would probably say we just don't have the staffing for it, or we're trying and we can't do it. It's every embassy is different, but India in particular has its own unique circumstances. They even process cases differently just because the numbers are dealing with. But they can and will. H1 prime H1B visa season is going to be in, what is it right now? It's December. It's going to be in like 6 or 7 months from now. By that point, they'll probably make special exceptions for H1B to get business going. But it's just wow. Sometimes you wonder why certain things are happening now, and they have their reasons. Sometimes the reasons make sense, and sometimes they don't. When it comes to immigration, I have a lot of clients who look for reasons. They want me to explain stuff to them, and I said this. I've been doing this for 10 or 15 years or something like that, and I've stopped trying to find reasons for why things aren't happening and deal with the practicality. A lot of times, we're doing cases. We make sure the case is sufficient based on what the law is, but clients sometimes get frustrated because I ask for more documents. I'm like, the law is one thing, the officer is going to prove the case is another, and they can make up their own more stringent regulations. They cannot be satisfied with what the law says, and although they're wrong, they have the power. So we just have, unless we're going to sue them and go to court and spend $5,000 or $10,000 and wait an extra year, we just got to adjust to what it is. Unfortunately, that's the nature of bureaucracy. The government has a lot of control, executive branch, over immigration, and it's discretionary. So you can have the best case. If they don't want to, they could deny it, and it's really hard to fix it. So we have to work within the system and do what we need to do to get it done.
Oh, that's an education in 6 minutes. Wow. Oh, wow. Okay, so when you're doing your teaching of lawyers, are the students argumentative?
No, no.
I mean, lawyers. You know lawyers. So.
A lot of it. Yeah, definitely. The way I teach just practical stuff is how to do A, B, and C, and what you're supposed to do. And the law is so complex. They kind of put away the argumentative aspect. There is a Socratic method of teaching law, but I just leave that for like the basic structure of property law, criminal law, and this and that. immigration is really practical and say, this is what you got to do. This is the form you have to complete. These are the parts where you can find problems, and this is why. And there's just immigration law is so confusing and out of control. It's like tax law. It's like what this isn't making sense and stuff. But you just like you got to learn it and you got to go by it. So a lot of times they ask questions other than like just it's just so much to soak in. They don't have time to even try to argue about it. They just say, okay, there's so much information I got to know. I've been doing this for 10 plus years, and I have a podcast every week where I go and I talk about what I learned the previous week. I just take notes of everything I learned. And after teaching this stuff, talking about this stuff, if someone follows me on LinkedIn, they'll see every day I post content, constantly talking about immigration. I'm still learning stuff every single day. It's a never ending bowl that just keeps pouring and pouring, and it just never ends. It's such a complicated law, and it's different for every year. It's different for every president. It's different for every embassy. There's just too much to know. That's why you don't get caught with the argumentative stuff and just try to figure it all out to help your clients out.
So people need to contact you for phone calls or whatever, Zoom shows like this, whether you're tired or whether you're sick, Zoom works. So what would be the best way? Would it be LinkedIn or would it be a website?
Yeah, LinkedIn works, but always email is the best. At this point, I have everyone funneled to an email, so we have everything in writing. And even if they call, the message says emails is best. I like people who are tech savvy. The email address is info@jqqlaw.com. And that way we can have something in writing and have a history. And if you describe your immigration issue, we know, because for example, we don't handle asylum cases. So if you contact us for an asylum case, we just say we don't do that. Or if it is a case we do, we can flesh it out and then schedule a consultation and talk about it more. Our consultations have fees, and some people get frustrated with that. There are fees depending on which attorney that you use. But that's the best way. Following on LinkedIn is a good way to keep up on the information and get to know me and what I do and my passion for what it is here. But every time, and when I talk about immigration law, people are always mind blown, whatever part of the political spectrum they are. Unless you're doing immigration on a day-to-day basis, it's hard to know how crazy the system is. I think crazy is the best way to put it, because it is political by nature, and every 4 years they change up the rules, or if the rules don't officially change, they change the way they adjudicate stuff without telling us. So we're doing something for 4 years in a way, and then all of a sudden we start getting denials, and they just change the standards on us without telling us. Then we have to try to fix that and all that kind of stuff. But it's a wild. So even if people aren't into immigration, I would love it if we had a consistent system, whatever it is, just so we know what the rules are, not this moving line, a finish line that moves without telling us. But that's the nature of bureaucracy and immigration, and is a major bureaucratic thing out there. So something we have to deal with.
Well, thank you for being my guest again on Global TV Talk Show. I welcome you to come back again in the new year, just on an update basis. I want to keep the dialogue going for our audience.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on. I definitely said, happy to come on again and talk about any new updates.
Great. Happy holidays.
You too.
Thank you. Bye-bye. And feel better.
Thank you.
Okay. Ciao.